The next race is a very important race. That is the Maricopa County Recorder. This is the elected official who organizes and oversees our voting process. We can already see the problems and the potential voter fraud that we are experiencing in 2020 with Adrian Fontes as the Democrat County Recorder. So, we must get Fontes out and replace him with a Republican who will restore voting integrity and voting systems that are honest and trustworthy. Who you choose for this office is very important. Our first candidate for Maricopa County Recorder is Steenwyk. Please welcome Stephen.
Okay, fantastic. Sorry. Bring the energy. My name is Stephen Richer, just like the wealthy man is richer, and I always wanted to be a prize fighter, so I'm gonna do this. But I never had the physique for being a prize fighter, so instead I'm running for Maricopa County Recorder, the next logical step to being a prize fighter. So what is the recorder, first of all? That's the question you should be asking yourself. Well, as Ron said, the recorder is the person who oversees elections. Kathleen's telling me to mellow down a little bit. All right, but I'm excited about this. And you might have heard that the President Trump, has been talking about elections just a little bit in the few past weeks. And he's been pointing out some of the election problems that we have throughout the country. And we have, unfortunately, those same problems, if not more problems, here in Maricopa County. And we have those problems because we have Democrat Adrian Fontes running that office right now. Adrian Fontes has sowed the seeds of discontent. He has lost our confidence in the voting process. He has lost that confidence because he is incompetent. He has lost that confidence because he is partisan. He has lost that confidence because he has a certain cavalier attitude towards the law, as in he just doesn't follow it. He has lost that confidence because he's not transparent. And so, as Ron said, it is humongously important that he go, that he leave us, that Adrian Fontes be 4 years and done and never again in Arizona political history. So I'm asking for your support to be that guy who beats Adrian Fontes. And I believe I will beat Adrian Fontes for a number of reasons. There is no magic formula to winning, but three things that tend to factor into winning is money. So first, money. So Adrian Fontes has raised about $280,000. But like all good Democrats, he's spent almost all of it already, even though he doesn't have a primary. So he has only $50,000 on hand. We've raised $230,000, but we have $120,000 on hand. So we're $120,000, Adrian Fontes is second in $50,000. So we're beating him in money. In endorsements, I've had over 60 elected and former elected Republicans endorse me for this office, so I have the broad support of the Republican Party. The only formerly or currently elected Republican who has endorsed somebody else is Grant Woods, the former Attorney General who endorsed Adrian Fontes, but this is also the man who wanted to run for U.S. Senate as a Democrat, so make of that what you will. Third, I have the experience and the knowledge. I got involved in the recorder's office when, following the 2018 election, the Republican Party said some things just weren't right. Some things didn't make sense. Why the heck did it take so long to get our results? Hopefully that won't be the case tomorrow. Although, and what the heck were those emergency voting centers? What was the emergency? So the Arizona Republican Party turned to me as an attorney to produce a report. And since I produced that report, I've been working to try and make some of these problems better. I worked with Representative Townsend, I worked with Representatives Ugenti Rita, I worked with the Attorney General to create laws that would cabin Adrian Fontes' power, to create our first ever election integrity unit within the Attorney General's office. I went to a top law school to be able to understand laws like these. I went to graduate school for elections specifically. So I ask for your support, because I really think I can be the guy that can finally get Adrian Fontes out of there. And I ask for your support to help me make the recorder's office boring again. because we've heard too much about this. We want to hear about the U.S. Senate candidates who are fighting for capitalism versus socialism. We want to hear about our Arizona legislature as far as whether they're going to, give teachers like new money for like whatever number of time it is. It's been a lot number of times. We want to hear about the Corporation Commission. We don't want to hear about the referee in the football game. If you hear about the referee in the football game, the referee threw a flag when he probably shouldn't have, and then he got involved in the game. That's not who we want to be. We want to make the recorder's office boring again. It's Stephen Richer. Thank you very much.
Do we have any questions? Oh, I'm sorry. Do we have any questions?
I just have a quick question. I saw you come in, you're wearing a mask, and that's cool. That's everybody's choice. Yeah. I think to understand your ethics, you talked about how he doesn't follow the law. And just in a quick yes or no, do you think that the mask mandates are lawful?
No. But the campaign's paying me to wear my own swag. So I have to wear that. Yeah. No, I have some pre-existing stuff, so I'm doing it to be extra cautious. It works for me. Might not work for some other people. Any other questions? All right, well, no other questions. I have lots of brochures out there. I have signs. Just email me if you want to sign. They're custom cut. I think they're kind of cute, a little different, so if you want one. And I hope that you will vote tomorrow. If you haven't voted already, I hope you will contact the Republican Party if you have problems with your vote. And then I hope that come Wednesday of this week, you will help keep Arizona red, because this is a red state, and let's not forget it.
Thank you, Stephen Richer. Sorry about the name. Our second candidate for Maricopa County Recorder is Clair Van Steenwyk. Please welcome Clair.
Good evening, everybody. Gene, where are you at? Stand up. I want everybody to recognize that's my wife, Jean. She has been at my side in, for those of you who don't know, several races we've had, but this one was a little funnier than most. We had a limited amount of time to go out and get signatures, and we had the signature quota raised on us a couple of times. It went from 3,600 to 3,800 to 4,100. So me and her went out and got 6,262 signatures without any help from any LD, any PC, or any Republican Party. Because I am what is considered to be #1 enemy of the Republican Party. For those of you who also don't know, I used to have a political talk show here in Phoenix. I interviewed every elected official in this state, federal, state, county, and whatever. Joe was on the show a number of times, so were a lot of other people. That's why I know so much about the politicians in this state. And I have to disagree with a lot of people that have been up here tonight. This state is not red. It is purple. Anybody that thinks it's red is living in a twilight zone somewhere at Disneyland. You've had state senators and legislators in this state vote in legislation that violates your constitutional rights. As I mentioned earlier, you had 20 Republicans in 2016 vote for the national popular vote with the Democrats in the House. It passed out of the House. If it would have become law, we'd all have gotten screwed. Those are Republicans that voted for this. I'm a Christian constitutional candidate running for county recorder, who also happens to be a conservative, fiscally, and social person. And I mean conservative, large C, not small. I don't like people calling themselves conservative when indeed they're not. When you vote that way, you're not a conservative. My take on the county recorder's office is a little different. It's in the shape it's in. Yeah, Fontes is bad. Purcell wasn't much better. But the real problem lies in the laws. You have systemic election campaign violations going on because they're allowed to with state laws that are passed. You can ballot harvest all you want because there's no restriction on it. I can go turn in 2,000 or 3,000 if I want to every election. My wife and myself have seen this go on at the county recorder's office. This law needs to be changed. Sure, it says you have to be a caregiver or a relative, but when you go down there to turn them in at a polling place or at the recorder's office, no one asks what you are. You just drop them off in a barrel and you leave. We watched one gentleman, and I think it was 2016, drop off 4 or 5 flip-top lids with at least 300 ballots in each one. No one said a word to him. Took them out, put them in the barrel, and left. Went out and got another one, came back. Nothing was said. This is what's wrong. Our laws are bad. Now, I've got a history in business. I ran major corporations. I worked my way up from washing bottles at a dairy to being the executive vice president in charge of food companies. I had small customers, though. Most of you probably don't know who they are. Walmart, Costco, Sam's Club, Albertsons, Safeway, Fry's, Trader Joe's, all of them. I signed multi-million-dollar contracts with these people annually, and we never lost money, even with Walmart. That's a miracle in itself. You have to understand how to manage a business to manage a recorder's office, because it is a business. The majority of what it does is business. But you also have to understand the politics of it. And you cannot run elections effectively with the bad laws we have in this state. They're open to voter fraud. They're open to election fraud by the current recorder himself. But the worst fraud we have, which the legislators I doubt would ever pass, is campaign fraud. When people running for office get up and blatantly lie to voters. Now, I've got a few endorsements. I won't bother to tell you who they are because they go out and endorse me publicly themselves. But I also know this. Check out endorsements because they have a telling record behind them. Some of the people that endorse people don't have what you'd call constitutional records, nor conservative ones, but they're in office. There are 4 people as your state senators right now who all got promoted by you guys a couple of years ago, Livingston being one of them in this LD, who voted for the national popular vote, red flag laws and red for ed. He was exposed for what he did when I ran against him in 18 for state senate, and you still voted for him. He's now your state senator. The other 3 got promoted too. One of them in the Senate who never got the vote for it is now your treasury secretary. This is because voters don't get information. You don't get information you need desperately to make your votes. I know most people think the First and Second Amendment are great, and they are. I had a rally at the Capitol, and we had 3,000 people there for a Second Amendment rally show up. But the other side of it is this. Your 14th, 24th, and 26th Amendment are also important. They're your voting rights. I'll tell you this much. If you don't vote properly and you put the wrong people in office, your First and Second Amendments are already in danger. You ought to know that right now. Look at what's going on. If your voting rights are not protected, then the rest of the Constitution does not matter. That's why I'm running. I'm running to protect that right. And no, I don't want the recorder's office not to ever be heard from again. I want the recorder to be out at meetings like this the whole time they're in office, at LDs, at Republican groups, and at high school and colleges, speaking about these things so people understand what they're supposed to do. You have to educate voters. If you don't educate voters, you have a bunch of nincompoops voting. Look at our government and ask yourselves, how the hell did this happen? Because it sure didn't happen when I was in school. So how did it happen now? How many of you have just marked the box because you recognize the name or the party put the most money behind that candidate? I know one thing. When I ran against Jeff Flake in 2012 and tried to warn everybody about what he was and about China and about a lot of other things, some people in the party thought I was crazy and most of them didn't like it. They voted for him. How'd that work? I have never run against another Republican in this state, quite honestly, once I lived here, who I've ever voted for. I never voted for John McCain. I never voted for Jeff Flake. I won't vote for David Livingston. I wouldn't vote for Trent Franks. That's how I work. That's how I vote. No, I don't vote for the Democrat either. But then again, when I go to a restaurant, I don't like liver, so I don't order that either.
We need to wrap up here.
Okay? Questions?
Randy?
The new ballots procedures that they came out with, is there anything in Arizona statutes that permits the line through of your vote and then marking the next, your real vote, and instead of throwing the ballot away and getting a new one?
No, there isn't. But it's here we go again. This has been allowed by the county supervisors, 4 of which are Republicans. They're all Republicans. Just like our bad election laws were written by all Republicans who've controlled the House and Senate and the governor's office for a long, long time now, haven't they? That's what's wrong. I don't intend to have that happen. I've written legislation. I've testified at the Capitol. I've been active at this since I was 9 years old. I've been active against the voting system in this state since I moved here. I saw the voter fraud going on the first time I ever voted here. But I couldn't get any of the elected officials to listen because they like mail-in ballots, because they can control the turnout and the results, and they like it. How often have you ever seen a Arizona state senator, our representative, voted out of office? How often?
Yeah.
You don't. You know why? Because the party makes sure they never get enough money for the opponent to run against them. They get absolutely no help. When I launched our campaign, I sent out requests to speak at every LD in Maricopa County. You know how many LDs I've spoke out? In 20 of them. You know how many? Guess. 3. How'd that happen? That fair and balanced? I submit to you, my name is Clair Steenwyk. I am a Christian constitutional candidate in that order. I'm a fiscal and social conservative, large C. I don't believe in screwing people. I want this done and I want it fixed, and I'm not running to be the most popular Republican in the state. Or to get a career, or to use it for a stepping stone to a higher office. I didn't do that in business, and I won't do that here. If you want to see me afterwards, I'll be outside. I've got cards. My website is vote4van.com. Everything's explained basically on one page. See the video. On the video, I very clear to you on one of the videos about endorsements and how much you can't trust them. Why would I trust bad politicians endorsing another person that wants to be one? Don't understand that. Like Jan Brewer. She brought you, all of us, she brought it in the state, she brought us Obamacare. I don't care if she was doing this at the airport. She was signing a bill to bring Obamacare here. How many of you know that?
We got to wrap this up, although this is a good subject.
God bless you and thank you all. If you want information, let me know.
Clair Steenwyk, thank you very much.